Thank you for joining me in session 3 of Digital Communication Strategies for Theater Professionals. In this session, we're going to talk about building sustainable, authentic, and engaging relationships with your audience through social media. The famous and beloved American writer Maya Angelou once said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." And it's very clear for you when you work in your rehearsal spaces and performance venues. But it's probably not that clear when it comes to posting your content on social media. I once worked with a very good colleague and creative businesses consultant from the UK who made this observation about creative people. He said that the people who usually work in arts or in theater in particular somehow feel that their creativity only belongs in their studios and performance spaces. But once they shut the doors of those studios and performance spaces, they as if switch off their creativity and do not use it in any other aspects of their business or activity anymore. And I often observe that when reading social media posts of a lot of my clients and theater companies, for example, or theater professionals. Those posts lack the emotional side and the emotional engagement that I usually observe in the work of those artists or theater companies. So let us talk about sexing up your social media content and making it more engaging and appealing for your audiences. So, first of all, make it personal or bring a person into a story. You very well know that when doing a show, writing a play, you always are looking for this human side, the personal side, the personal point of view of the characters, for example, of the play. You've got to look for the same thing in your social media posts. So, maybe you can write about yourself and your way to discovering or designing a certain show or a product or a service. Maybe you can talk about your audiences and use their testimonials to, to kind of make humanize the effect or the impact that your product or service had on those people. Or you can make, I don't know, your product maybe a character. For example, just recently I saw a big institution, governmental institution in Lithuania, come up with a digital consultant, Simon, who consults all their clients about their services. So maybe you can think of something similar, but make sure that the story or every post that you post on social media is personal. Do not be afraid to get emotional. Sometimes the artists or theater makers or theater professionals that are very open and very vulnerable in their work get very reserved and closed off in their social media communication. Do not be afraid of expressing your opinion. Do not be afraid of revealing your vulnerability. Bring your full self into your story, not only on stage, but also on your other communications channels, such as social media, for example, right? Because your audience see that communication as a continuation of your work, as a continuation of your personality. They want to be part of your story, right? Not only on the stage, but also in life. And of course, use the hero's journey structure when crafting every post. So you know that there has to be a call to adventure. Well, let's take Cinderella, for example, right? She is she knows there's a ball, the prince is looking for a wife. Then there's a challenge. She cannot go to the ball because her stepsisters and stepmother are not letting her. But she goes anyway because she has a helper, her fairy godmother. In the ball, however, she experiences an ordeal, a challenge where everything seems lost. She met the prince, she fell in love with the prince, but the clock strikes the midnight. She has to go back home because her carriage will turn into a pumpkin. So she goes home, and she thinks that's the end of the story, but because of her good heart and her purity and all those good other qualities that she has in her, she has the return with the elixir. And elixir in her case is love of the prince, or the true love that she was lacking in her life before she met the prince, right? So of course, the structure, and you use the structure in crafting your plays or your performances. Use the structure in your social media post too. Okay, so if you brought a person into your post, and that person is your audience member, so maybe that audience member had a challenge before coming to your play. Maybe she didn't want to come to the play, but her friends really persuaded her to do that. And then, at first she felt that it was a waste of her time, but as she was sitting through the play, looking at the play, she just realized that was exactly the thing that she needed in her life and in her day at the moment, right? And she goes back home rejuvenated and with a new inspiration to go on. For example, a very simple example, but this kind of post will engage your audience and show that your product or your service, your show, your play, your company has a place and plays an important role in the life journey of your audience. And this is what you ultimately want to show through your social media, right? Maybe there's been a hero's journey of you producing a play. Share that hero's journey with the audience. Maybe there's a hero's journey of a particular cast member who had to undergo a certain kind of ordeal to come up with his or her character, to create that character to his or her best abilities. Share that story. It's very important. This is how we listen to any kind of story that we are told, through this hero's journey lens, right? So make sure that you use it in your social media posts too. But social media posts have a different time that your audience members devote to them. They are with your show or with your play for much longer than with your post, right? So you actually have to be a little bit more explicit with your posts than with your work, right? So do not forget to add a reflection at the end of your story, your little post in social media. Tell the audience why you're telling this anecdote or the story, why you're sharing what you're sharing with them. Say, it doesn't have to be as explicit and as blunt as here on my visual. I'm telling the story but your audience members have to understand that this post has a purpose, right? That you wanted to communicate something very particular by this post. And because they usually, spend 10 to 15 seconds on one post, you have to help them. You have to be explicit about what you want to tell. So reflect. So use the storytelling skills that you use in your work when crafting a post, but also reflect on that story. Do not forget to add the reflection to it, right? And very importantly, do not forget to add a call to action at the end of the post. So what do you want your audience to do? Do you want them to react to a post, like, or put an angry face or a laughing face below the post? Do you want them to comment, to express their opinion? Do you want them to click on a link and go and buy tickets? Right? What is it exactly that you want your audience to do? It's very important to tell them that and not leave it just for their interpretation. Because again, the attention span devoted to every post of yours is very short. So be very specific about what you want that post to do and what you want your audience to do after reading the post. As Madonna said, a lot of people are afraid to say what they want. That's why they don't get what they want. Let us not be afraid of very clearly expressing our intentions and very clearly expressing our goals. And so your social media channels are a very good, means or a very good platform to do that. So do not just, post dry information on them, or do not just post maybe funny stories, but always remember that a little bit of reflection and a call to action can take you a long way. So I wish you the best of luck with building your relationship with the audience on your social media post. And I suggest you choose one social medium that you use for your own work and craft a post that has all those 4 elements that I covered in the session. Feel free to, again, send the post to me via this platform, and I will be more than happy to give you feedback. The best of luck.